Hey guys, this is Mrs. Devlin. Just wanting to make a video on how to navigate your book, just to make sure you know about all the good stuff that it has to help you out and rock out this year. So we're going to take a look at our 8th grade book. So what you're going to do is go ahead and find it. As you can see, these are my books. Here's yours, the one with the Statue of Liberty on it for United States history. Click Go to the online textbook. And here you're kind of going to see what our book looks like. Some things to keep in mind. Tabs. They're always helpful. There's also a drop-down menu in the top that allows you to browse by unit or chapter. And then once you select a chapter, so if I'm looking at chapter 2, I have the option to access any of the sections as well as a review or a standardized test practice if you want to test yourself before we maybe take a quiz or something. So here are some resources I want you to be aware of. To go to the beginning of a unit, just go to the top, pick the unit, and then hit go. Here you'll see I am on the beginning of Unit 1, which is Connecting with the Past, Our Colonial Heritage. It also gives you the chapters on the left-hand column here. I can click on one. And there you go. It took me to the beginning of Chapter 1. Looking at Chapter 1 here, guys, there are a couple other things that I want you to keep in mind. If you look to the left-hand side where my mouse is right now, one thing you're going to see is that there are 4 sections. Guess what? If you click on any section, guess where it's going to take you? To the section. You can also access the sections through the drop-down menu, like I mentioned earlier. Let's go back. There's a couple more things I want us to see there. Another thing to note is that sometimes Holt can freeze. The best way to fix that is to remember where you left off. So, because that didn't work for me right there, I'm going to go to Chapter 1 and then select Chapter Opener. Back to the beginning. Some good things to help you out at the beginning of the chapter is there's always a timeline. So if you're wondering where we're at in the chronology of history, chronology means time, you can see what we're going to talk about. So we're talking about early things in Chapter 1. We're talking about Paleo-Indians migrating to the Americas. We're talking about the early societies in Central America. We're going to learn about the Olmec and the Maya. And it also talks a little bit about some things that are going on in Europe. A guy named Christopher Columbus, who I'm hoping we have all heard of, who kind of is a big deal when it comes to America, and also the Renaissance, which helped influence ideas at that time. So, that is the front of the chapter again, guys. Some other things to be aware of. There's a chapter summary. If you click on the chapter summary tab, I'll drag this in so you can see it a little more. That kind of gives you everything we're going to talk about. They're great to help you review. So if you are studying for one of my tests, read these. They'll help, I promise. I wouldn't show it to you if it wasn't helpful to you. So you can always look at these. Another important thing to be aware of, if you go ahead and hit that resources tab up on the tabs, there's some different things for you here. A key one that I want you to be aware of is the audio resources. Guess what? You can have this whole book read to you. How sweet's that? All you gotta do is you have to select the chapter and section you're working on, and then click the listen button, and it'll start talking. As I made it talk too much there, maybe you heard it. So that's a good resource to have if maybe reading is something that's a little tricky for you, or if you're more of an auditory learner, which means you learn with your ears, maybe instead of your eyes better. Some other things to look at if you ever need it. There's an atlas here. An atlas is a big map that shows us a little more about the world. There's also some graphic organizers if you need help taking notes, and some other resources available as well. Under the quizzes tab, there's always some ways to test yourself. And if we go back to the book pages, I want to show you a couple other things. So we've looked at the beginning of the chapter. Another thing I want us to be aware of is what the beginning of a section looks like. Slightly different, ladies and gents. So, what we've got here is what the beginning of Chapter 1, Section 1 looks like. This is literally the first textbook reading you are going to have for 8th grade history. Drum roll, please. So, some things to remember. The blue column is your friend. This is going to tell you what we're going to read about and things you need to remember. Here's a big hint. If it's called a main idea or a big idea, it's probably going to be on the test. So it's so important to look at these. So for main ideas, you can see there's 2 listed for Chapter 1, Section 1. Big idea. We're learning about Native American societies and how they developed across Mesoamerica and South America. There are some key terms and people to recall here. We've got the Bering Land Bridge, Paleo-Indians, migration, hunter-gatherers, environments, and culture. And there's always some notes tips for you too. And feel free to always use these interactive graphic organizers if you are taking notes. So again, blue column is your friend, guys. So if we take a look at, there's a reading help tab that I just pulled in. Tells us a little bit more. But I think the main is going to be the big help for us here. You'll always see an if you were there, and you'll see those in live class a lot. I like to bring them up because everyone can answer them, because we all have feelings on different things. There's always a background section, and then we're going to go to our reading. And if you notice, there are some words in blue. Those are your key terms. Go ahead and click on them. And they'll tell you exactly what they mean. So the Bering Land Bridge is a land bridge that once connected what is now Alaska with Siberia. That's a great tool to use, guys. Please use it. We're going to encounter some words that you might not be familiar with or that you might not understand, and using these are going to be so helpful. So I'm going to go to another page here to show you guys a little more about your book. You'll see these little reading checks. Don't worry about them. We do all our work in the system, so. And you'll also see maps and diagrams. And guys, pictures are very important when it comes to social studies. They are going to help you understand what's going on in the world at this time. So here we have a migration map. And there's some questions at the bottom. We might go over those in live class sometimes or something like that. But I really want you to make sure you're looking at pictures and words in this class. So you'll see some more pictures. And you'll know you'll reach the end of a section when we reach section assessment, okay? So that's when you know you're really done. So if we scooch onwards, we're in section 2, which we don't want to talk about. So there you can kind of see how the online textbook works. Please feel free to play around with it. I know today you're going to be working on a book scavenger hunt, so I want you guys to be aware of what the book's like, how it works, everything like that. And as always, email me or call me anytime today if you don't understand what I'm talking about in this video. I make these to help you, but if I'm unclear, I want to know and I want to help. Good luck!